acting always about making us feel our common humanity beyond separate identities? A black George Washington in Hamilton, of course. But Ryan Gosling as Frederick Douglass? Yes, that would be problematic. Ditto Shia LaBeouf as Shaft. No, it's... Why don't we just go by merit and let the best actor win? Which seems like what happened when Ana de Armas just got picked to play Marilyn Monroe, even though she's Cuban with an accent. Hey, maybe she should play Fidel Castro and...
If you think Maher's fight with woke Hollywood is over, you're in for a surprise. The last time he went after actors and actresses for their performative activism, it turned into a full-blown Hollywood meltdown. Well, today, guess who's in his crosshairs? Casting directors, the gatekeepers who decide who gets the role and who gets cancelled. Maher's takedown was so devastating that it left the industry squirming, exposing how diversity quotas have quietly replaced actual talent. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's begin.
Actors have to stop listening to the casting police and go back to doing their job, which is picking the best actor for the role. Now, I mention this because a lot of people lately are either apologizing for or calling on others to apologize for playing roles they call appropriation. James Franco was just chosen to play Fidel Castro, and John Leguizamo posted, "No more appropriation. Boycott. This I don't got a problem with Franco, but he ain't Latino." Okay, but John Leguizamo is Colombian American. He ain't a Venetian, but he played one.
And that's the real problem with many of these so-called casting police. When the system benefits them, it's suddenly progress. But the moment it doesn't, they cry foul and call it discrimination. The hypocrisy is glaring. It's almost as if their outrage has less to do with justice or artistic integrity, and more to do with self-interest. Beneath all the virtue signaling, you get the sense that money, attention, and status are the real motivators. They're not fighting for art to prevail. They're fighting for their place in the spotlight. And they'll twist any narrative to stay there.
Little person. Or an Italian plumber, but he played them too, because he's... because he's an actor. Why the hell do you think people become actors? Because they want to spend their life not being who they are.
I can't help but wonder what John Leguizamo was really thinking when he made that post. After all, he's long been a beneficiary of a system built on the very freedom he's now criticizing. The freedom to embody characters beyond one's background or identity. That's what acting is supposed to be, art without borders. It's about stepping into someone else's skin, telling stories that stretch the imagination, and connecting with audiences through emotion, not ancestry. The beauty of performance lies in transformation, in becoming someone you're not. So when Leguizamo suddenly draws those boundaries, it feels less like progress and more like hypocrisy wrapped in virtue.
Sounds like an unforgivable sin until you remember that's what acting is. That's why acting jobs are called roles. Sean Penn won an Oscar for playing gay civil rights martyr Harvey Milk. At the time, it was considered a courageous act of solidarity for a straight male movie star to play a homosexual. Now it's the opposite. Eddie Redmayne played a transgender woman in The Danish Girl, but now calls that a mistake because many people don't have a chair at the table. Well, actually, in movies now they do. And what does it have to do with you playing trans? Does it then work the other way? Can trans actors only play trans characters? Because that's not going to be a good deal for them.
And I agree. Eddie Redmayne had no reason to apologize for doing what he does best, acting. He's one of the finest and most versatile performers of his generation, and his portrayal in The Danish Girl was nothing short of brilliant. He approached the role with depth, empathy, and respect, giving the trans community a nuanced, humanized representation on screen. So what exactly was the problem? The outrage made no sense. But that's the thing about the woke crowd, they're never satisfied. Even when someone tries to honor their cause through art, they'll find something to be offended by. It's less about progress now and more about policing perfection that doesn't exist.
Acting always about making us feel our common humanity beyond separate identities? a black George Washington in Hamilton, of course. But Ryan Gosling as Frederick Douglass? Yes, that would be problematic. Ditto Shia LaBeouf as Shaft. No, it's... Why don't we just go by merit and let the best actor win? Which seems like what happened when Ana de Armas just got picked to play Marilyn Monroe, even though she's Cuban with an accent. Hey, maybe she should play Fidel Castro and...
As I mentioned earlier, it's hard not to suspect that some people have a hidden agenda in all this outrage. Think about it. When an actor from a minority background plays a traditionally white role, it's hailed as representation and progress. But the moment a white actor plays a minority role, it's labeled as problematic or cultural appropriation. How does that make sense? Art should be a space where talent, not identity, takes the lead. This double standard exposes the selective outrage driving much of the debate. Maher is absolutely right to call it out, because fairness can't be conditional. You either believe in artistic freedom or you don't. You can't have it both ways.
Can play Marilyn Monroe, and then we can all... Then we can all stay in our lanes. Is that what diversity and inclusion look like now? Everybody's staying in their lane? Lawrence of Arabia was gay. Peter O'Toole wasn't. I can live with that. Because he was so cool, he almost made me gay. Emma Stone caught hell for playing a Hawaiian, Jake Gyllenhaal for playing a Persian, Gal Gadot for wanting to play Cleopatra, Johnny Depp for playing an Indian, even though he's not an actual Comanche, and spoiler alert, he also doesn't really have scissor hands.
People really need to let art breathe again. Without the constant interference of woke policing, art, by its very nature, is meant to challenge, inspire, and reflect the diversity of human experience. It's a celebration of imagination, not an exercise in identity quotas. When we start dictating who can or can't play a role based on race, gender, or background, we strip creativity of its soul. Hollywood, at the end of the day, is also a business. Producers invest millions, and they deserve the freedom to cast whoever they believe can best bring a character to life and deliver a strong performance. And yes, a return on that investment. The audience doesn't pay to see identity politics on screen. They pay to see great storytelling, authentic emotion, and genuine art.
Now says that if Philadelphia were made today, he wouldn't do it because the character was gay and he's not. Well, besides the fact that this would force all gay actors to reveal their sexuality, even if they didn't want to, great actors, which Tom is one, try hard to keep their private lives private so we don't think of their real lives when we see them in a movie that attempts to transport us into a different world. Could you really look at this actress now and not think of the trial? Should she only play bed-shitters now?
Not only is the woke crowd destroying art by insisting that only people with matching identities and backgrounds should play certain characters, but they're also ruining the audience's ability to truly enjoy a film. Acting has always been about transformation, stepping outside yourself to become someone else. But when every casting decision is filtered through politics and identity, that magic disappears. Viewers are no longer lost in the story. They're constantly reminded of who the actor is off-screen and whether they deserve the role. The result? Shallow, predictable performances that feel forced rather than inspired. Instead of being swept away by the illusion of cinema, audiences are left analyzing the politics behind it. Art becomes propaganda, and storytelling, one of humanity's greatest forms of connection, becomes just another battleground for ideological control.